For millennia, the pharaohs ruled not only by strength of arms but through an unspoken code, a law invisible to the common eye, yet etched deep in the soul of every ruler. These laws were not written on papyrus, nor inscribed on temple walls. They existed in the quiet whispers of the heart, guiding those who truly sought power. To live by these principles was to rise above the human frailty that so easily consumes us all. We too can follow these paths, not for crowns of gold, but for crowns of self-control, fortitude, and mastery over destructive emotions. Law 1. Rule over yourself before you rule over others. One of the earliest lessons we find in the teachings of Egypt's greatest rulers is that true dominion begins within. The ancient legends tell us of Pharaoh Djoser, whose wisdom was captured by Imhotep, his trusted advisor. The one who cannot govern his own spirit will never govern the kingdom, ancient texts reveal. This law is simple yet profound. The ruler who seeks to control others must first control himself. In times of great prosperity, Egypt's pharaohs could have indulged every desire, every whim, but the greatest among them, Ramses, Seti, and Hatshepsut, understood that true strength came not from excess, but from restraint. How often do we, in our modern lives, allow emotions to dictate our actions? Anger, greed, and fear, they are the true enemies. The pharaohs knew this. Their lives were devoted to mastering their inner world before they sought to command the external one. In this, we are not so different from them. To conquer oneself is the greatest victory. Law 2. Build with eternity in mind. It is said that the pharaohs were driven by a vision of eternity, building their monuments not just for their reigns but for the ages. The pyramids, the temples, the cities, all stand as symbols of this truth. Yet what many fail to understand is that these structures were not mere displays of wealth or power. No, they were acts of discipline, testaments to the pharaoh's ability to delay gratification for a far-off future. The second law of the pharaoh's code teaches us this: what we build in our lives must be built for the long term. How often do we act based on fleeting emotions? We chase pleasure, comfort, and approval in the moment, without a thought for tomorrow. But as the story of Tutankhamun reminds us, the legacy we leave is built in the actions we take today, not in the desires we chase momentarily. Like the pharaohs, we must set our sights on eternity, not in a literal sense, but in how we act, how we respond to life's challenges. Each decision is a stone in the pyramid of our future. Will your legacy be built with strength, or will it crumble under the weight of uncontrolled desires? Law 3. Emotion is the weakest advisor. Of all the wisdom preserved from the reign of the pharaohs, one truth echoes across every era. Emotion, unchecked, leads to ruin. Consider the story of Akhenaten, the heretic pharaoh, whose emotions led him to abandon the traditions of his forefathers. In a fit of hubris, he tore Egypt from its roots, leading to division and chaos after his death. The lesson here is timeless. The third law warns us: never let emotion rule your decisions. The pharaohs, facing threats both within and without, could not afford to be swayed by fear, anger, or pride. They relied on clear, unwavering judgment, knowing that the survival of their empire depended on it. In our own lives, how often are we ruled by emotions? We lash out in anger, act from jealousy, or retreat in fear. The pharaohs faced far greater trials than most of us will ever know, yet they endured because they did not allow emotion to dictate their path. To follow this law is to embrace clarity, calm in the storm, wisdom in the chaos. Law 4. True power is silent. In the silence of the tombs, amidst the stillness of Egypt's ancient temples, there is a powerful message. Real strength speaks in whispers, not in shouts. The pharaohs, though feared and revered, understood the might of quiet authority. The stone-carved face of Ramses may have towered above his subjects, but his rule was not sustained by overt displays of force. No, his power lay in his unshakable calm, his control over himself and his kingdom. To us, this law teaches a simple but challenging truth. True power is quiet. When we shout, demand, or boast, we are revealing not strength, but weakness. Power does not need to be displayed loudly. It is felt. The person who controls their words, who acts with deliberate calm, who allows their actions to speak, this is the one who commands respect and authority. Law 5. Fortitude in the face of death. The final law is perhaps the most powerful, and the one that resonates most deeply with the pharaoh's belief in immortality. Face death without fear. From the moment a pharaoh ascended the throne, he prepared for his journey to the afterlife. But this preparation was not rooted in fear of the unknown. It was rooted in acceptance. The pharaohs knew that death was inevitable, but it was not something to flee from. As we read from ancient scrolls, to live in fear of death is to die 1,000 deaths before the final breath is taken. This is a lesson we can take to heart. To live in fear of what is to come is to rob ourselves of the present. By embracing death, not as an end, but as a transition, the pharaohs found fortitude in the face of life's greatest uncertainty, and we too can find strength in the acceptance of life's inevitable challenges. These laws, though ancient ancient, hold the power to transform us today. The pharaohs lived in a world of empires and gods, but their wisdom transcends time. By mastering ourselves, building for the future, rejecting emotional weakness, embracing silent strength, and facing life's trials with fortitude, we can forge a life of true power and resilience. Together, we walk the path of the pharaohs, not to rule a kingdom but to rule ourselves.